It's got muddy. Didn't work, did it? Yeah, I'm fine. Now there's a car coming. Act normally. Do photographic type things. After much awkwardness, welcome to the, biscuits. This will all be edited and I'll look much slimmer in widescreen. It's very slimming. Anyway, welcome to the first, I could think John Clare Rambles, maybe. That's possible. Don't be expecting any literary gems or any academic discussion. I'm afraid it's mostly going to be me trying not to fall over, fiddling with my camera, eating biscuits, and just generally rambling. So I wanted something with a bit more immediacy, so I thought just being here would be good. It's not scripted, as I'm sure is glaringly obvious by now. It's just whatever happens, whether that's talking about the weather, following deer prints, being stalked by a robin, trying not to fall over, testing out biscuits. Here we are in Castor Hanglands Nature Reserve. It's about 8 o'clock in the morning, just getting light. And we're just going for a walk. Very murky, very damp, quite wet underfoot. I'm taking a bit of a circuit on the outside of Castor today because I'm taking a bit of a circuit around Castor Hanglands this morning. I'm not walking through the middle of it because there's some rather angry looking bulls. And I don't fancy getting chased after eating so much over Christmas. So I'm just going for a little walk this morning, and they've done quite a lot of clearance work since I was here last. I'm not sure if you can see over the back there where they're clearing some logs. They've done quite a lot of clearance work, and I think they get the bulls in here over the winter to eat up a lot of the scrub. It's a nice time of morning to be here because it's really quiet, and you do often see wildlife and all sorts of things. Here we are, I thought it might be useful for those of you that don't know the area, don't know Helpston or the southern reaches of where John Clare would have roamed in his days here. He certainly knew this area, and I am reliably informed by several people that this area has never been under the plough, so it's probably about as close as you would have got to how it would have been around about the time that Clare was here. It's been an area that's inspired lots of artists and musicians. It certainly inspired me to come up here. I've been coming up here probably for, I don't know, several years, and it's a 3-hour drive, so I've been on the road. It's about 8 o'clock in the morning now. I've been on the road since about 4:30 this morning, so it's a long old hike, but it's worth it. It's a lovely place to come and visit. It's quiet. You don't tend to see that many people, even though it's the Christmas holidays. You know, this place is empty. It's 8 o'clock in the morning. I'll probably see 1 or 2 people all day. Not sure if you can see just straight down there. There's 3 deer just walk straight out in front of me. There are some really loud flares going off that don't seem to worry these deer at all. Can't see them now, they've disappeared, but they literally just walked out in front of me, and then there was a really loud explosion, and they kind of didn't look twice, to be honest. Came through this way and then came out here onto the main path. I'm not sure if you can see just those tracks leading away, but I was probably standing about 10 feet from them and they just didn't see me. It's really still today as well, so I doubt they smelt me. There's lots of birds around giving them the signal, who are calling out every now and again the further I move down this path. So I'll keep going and see. And even now the field margins flood, and flood quite significantly in areas. Big deep pools of water. I guess this whole area at one stage has a long drainage ditch that runs along here. Not sure how much of this you can see, but there's a huge drainage ditch that just pulls all the water out of the fields, but even with that, it's liable to quite significant and deep flooding, as you can see. So I'm just on the left hand side of Castor Hanglands. If you're looking north, very quiet today, day after Boxing Day. If you're not working, you're probably in bed, unless you're some crazy fool like me and you've been on the road for 4 hours. Some more areas of really deep flooding here. This is an old Roman road that runs down the side of Castor Hanglands. Got this little robin that's been following me all the way down this path. Easter hill. And these are the bulls and cows that are chomping all this heavy scrub to keep it clear during the summer. It's a lovely day. It's very mild, very still. Beautiful morning. 27th of December 2019. What a lovely day. And I have to say, this is my general experience of being up here in Helpston and the area. It's very quiet, very tranquil. You can walk all day, and generally you not really see that many people. It's a nice place to be. It's a quiet place to be. Even now I think it would be a perfect place to think and write poetry and walk. I can see how it appealed to Clare. But there's a rather interesting structure here, and I've never been able to quite figure out what it is. It's a kind of concrete lookout post. And it seemed at one stage to have some sort of communication device attached to it. And whether it was something from the Second World War or something from the Cold War, I really don't know, but it's a strange little building to find in the middle of it's a nice little run of wood pigeons just took to the air then. Don't know if you can see them. But made quite an interesting sound. Little deer run here, look. Out to the fields. Quite a nice time of day to come here. There's very few people around, and you can just sort of wander around and explore a little bit. Let me just take you to the field edge here, show you what we've got. So this would be the left hand side of Castor Hanglands. Castor. This would be the left hand side as you're looking along. Field's very rain soaked, as you can see. And here's our little lookout tower here. Communication device. It even had windows. was useful. But a little mystery nevertheless. Getting lighter now. Moving on down this side track to give you a feel of what it's like. A bit drier down this middle section. Thankfully, I know we went over a few times earlier. It's very muddy, very, very slippery. Hopefully this isn't making viewing too queasy. Having to be very careful where I tread. Beautiful woodland here, even in the winter. It's just lovely. And always the rumble of the Great North Road. Just a couple of miles away to our right hand side. So we just scampered across the footpath then. Big pools of water in these winter soaked woods. Heavy going today. This is the most flooded I've ever seen these woods, and I've been up here for the last several winters, but there has been a phenomenal amount of rain. And it's even the field drainage system can't quite cope. You do begin to get a sort of feel for, I guess, what Clare called the ague, which was just that kind of winter flu, damp, misty, wet, cold. A lack of fuel for the fire, a lack of food, a lack of warmth, a lack of comfort, a lack of decent clothing. You can imagine, several mouths to feed, children. The pressure on Clare must have been immense, and indeed on probably all of the families. Just to get through each day. But for all its absolute beauty, you can, or at least I can, get a sense of how that pressure would have played on Clare, and always that tantalising prospect of another book, money, a degree of fame, just eluding him, and just having to go out and work in the fields in this with very little food, very little warm clothing, you can begin to get a real sense of just how achingly depressing that may have been. And obviously that's just a guess on my behalf, but I imagine winters here back then would have been hard, long, cold, wet, dank, misty. No wonder why Clare longed for spring and summer, and so mourned their passing. Knowing he was going headlong into another winter. Must have been a long tunnel for him and his family. And a very worrying and stressful time, I'm sure. Every now and again you see something like a blackbird suddenly cross your path. And it's so sort of emotive of Clare's writing. I just saw that little robin again. It's over here somewhere. There he is. Not sure if you can see that. There he goes. He's followed me all the way down here. Don't know how much of that you can see, but he's just flitting around. That's where I've just come from. Not getting many photos today. Too busy talking. God, it's wet. Be a very different place in the spring. So different. So different. The place is alive with bird song and I can smell a wood fire from somewhere. I guess this is what Clare would describe as the gloom. And this is very much that sort of midwinter gloom. Sure if you can see these kind of drainage ditches even in the woodland, just completely full to brimming. Get a real sense today, probably more than I ever have, of what a flooded landscape this once was, and this is with drainage. So difficult to imagine what it would be without drainage. I can smell a coal fire now. There's a definite coal fire coming from somewhere. Someone's got the right idea. I'm going to keep saying Castor or Castor all day. I can't decide what one it is. It's probably glaringly obvious, but I don't know. So nearly fell over again then. So I'm just going to head to the south, which is just down this way. Through another little route. This brings us to, this will now bring us to the south. Really hard going today. I'm sure this whole video will be me just moaning, but I have to say it is trying to walk and hold a camera. It's treacherously slippy. It's almost like clay type soil. See, doesn't look great for drainage. It's almost, it is like a sort of clay, very thick clay, claggy. Sure, there must be some lines of Clare that relate to that. None spring to mind. Plushy. Is that a word he would have used? Claggy. Anyway, I've been in here for about an hour and a half now, not seen a soul. Seems to be very quiet most of the time. So you can just kind of wander about really with a camera, talking to yourself, and at will. So, more later. So folks, by the wonders of natural England, here is a map of where we are. So I came in up here and we walked all the way down here. So I said Middle Earth then. Middle Heath, not Middle Earth. And then this is the long path we've walked down now. We are here. And we're going to follow this path down now all the way to the southern end of Castor Hanglands, and then we're going to walk all the way up this way, and there are several footpaths, as you can see, leading us in, and then I think we walk all the way up here and then we go back to where we were. So that is Castor Hanglands, whichever you prefer. So here's that really long path all the way down, and here's where we are going, to the southern end. All puddles, but hopefully this is the end of the claggy, plushy I was thinking just then that I've probably been in here now 2 hours, not seen anybody, not a sound, no dogs, no walkers, no riders, and I can sort of imagine back in the day how Clare viewed it or saw it as his own little world to wander around in and to botanise and to watch birds and think and write, and how he probably would have treated other humans as maybe with suspicion or as invaders into his little world or his thoughts. Walking headlong into one of his poems. Anyway, the robins disappeared. He just got bored, and I'm going to get to the end here and I'm going to have a cup of coffee. Bear with. Southern end of the Hanglands. I'm not going to say Castor anymore. I'm sure it will just attract complaints. I'm saying Hanglands. So we're at the southern end anyway of the Hanglands. And we have some fine drizzle. Mizzle, perhaps it should be called. Still very overcast. But nevertheless mild. There's your weather update. And we're heading for this little area down here. The very, very southern end. Here we are, again, at the end of the Hanglands. I quite like this view. It's very, very cinematic. I think I spy a human down there. Pretty much certain it was a human. Anyway, I guess we have to like humans. I'm going to have a sit down and a cup of coffee and talk to my camera as somebody walks past with a dog. We should talk in a minute. Here are the dogs. Hello, doggy. I have no idea what the time is. Morning! See? Not in the slightest bit odd. Anyway, viewers. Who are they to judge me? Oh God, it's wet. So I'm on a coffee break now. I've been walking for 2.5 hours. I got here at 8 o'clock this morning. It's Friday the 27th of December 2019. So far I've driven here 3.5 hours, walked for 2.5 hours, so it's coffee break time. My mum brought me some rather nice Marks and Spencer's shortbread biscuits. That's proper shortbread. My wife bought me some cheap stuff for Christmas. Very sugary, very hard, not pleasant. This, crumbly, buttery, very nice indeed. So this is a blog, this is number 1. It will be edited, but I just thought if you've never been here, if you wanted to get a feel for what it's like, or if you were thinking about coming here, then hopefully this would inspire you, or not inspire you. But this is one of my favourite spots. You can just watch all the birds fly past, and sometimes on a cold winter's day you just get deer that just trot by, stop, have a quick look at you, and then just trot on again. If you're interested in the gear that I use, leave me a message. I'll leave a link to the gear that I use. And if my wife is watching, this is an old camera. It's not one that I brought in the Amazon sale with the 12-60 kit lens. It is not new. It's an old one. Anyway, here's my breakfast view. I'm sure we can agree that was worth 3 hours and a 2.5 hour walk. So here we are now, going along the southern end of the Hanglands, as we now call them, with the Hanglands in there and the southern fields out here. Very nice Very nice place for landscape photography down here. Although very overcast today. Sorry to keep talking about the weather. And as we get to the southern end here, we will walk north along the eastern side, or the right side as you were looking at that map of the Hanglands. Not much to report, no more people, although I do see a car. Still very muddy, plushy, claggy. And my hand hurts holding this, so I shall speak to you soon. I call this the long path because it runs south to north from the bottom of the Hanglands all the way to the top. But I know in the winter it tends to be very badly flooded, and I don't really have the energy to walk it today, so I'm going to walk along part of the road. But I'll save this walk for the springtime because it's a rather beautiful walk through the nature reserve, and is alive with song. So instead of that, we're going to head to this gate and then walk to the left along the main road. So we've come out of the woods now and we're out of a little John Clare world, and we are propelled headlong back into the 21st century with traffic and cars and people and dogs and everything else in between. I see another human. I'll try not to be too cynical. I'll be nice. I'll say hello again. I'll attempt to act normal. Here we are. Here we are. Back to reality. Sorry to be un-eco-friendly, but after sloughing around in the submerged woodland for the last 3 hours, it is quite nice to be walking on tarmac. It does have its advantages. So here we are, we're walking up the eastern side, which is behind me as we speak, of the Hanglands. This is the eastern side, as you can see, and we're walking up very dry, flat tarmac road, which is very nice on the old feet. And there's some beautiful walks over this way as well, and we're going to be over there. Some really very, very nice walking to be had over there. Don't know what the weather's like tomorrow. I don't think it's going to be sunny, put it that way. And this road is quite busy now, and I'm just talking to myself, so I'm going to try to act normally. Nothing to see. Nothing to see. I'm not talking into my camera. Walking up the road. sorry. My old camera that I didn't buy on Amazon recently. Yup. This road is suddenly busy. Just sort of take a minute after falling off a gate or breaking a gate. Note to self, when you're chubby, don't lean against stuff. Yeah. This road's very busy. There's always that constant. There's a constant sound, like a sort of distant jet engine, which is the A1M, Great North Road. I don't know if you can hear that. I'm just trying to imagine what. There would have probably been pretty much silence here at one time, maybe just bird song. Just bird song. Whereas now there is this constant kind of rushing sound. Sounds like a jet engine. I'm just trying to imagine what it would have been like in Clare's day. Just silence, he just would have heard the birds. Maybe the odd bit of human activity. It's difficult to imagine that now. This gate doesn't feel very safe. Lots of private estate signs. No public right of way. Milton Estate. Private woodland. How can a woodland be private? Very odd. We live in a strange world. Here are the flooded dikes that drain the fields. And here are the fields still flooded in their corners. Somebody pulled the plug out and drained everything. And these continue here in every direction, mile after mile. In every direction. Draining away the water. We're almost at a dike crossroads. That's not a euphemism, by the way. A crisscross. A crisscross of drains. And these are a real feature here. And some are brim. Excuse my coughing. These are a real feature here. Some are brim full and some are just empty and go on for miles and miles, far off into the distance. Well, it's been a lovely day so far. It's been a lovely walk, and for many people this area is a place for recreation, to walk and to think and to enjoy the countryside. To others, just a place to bring your old carpet. As you do, must dump the carpet out there. It's where you begin to see the woodland stripped away and the prairie-like nature of agribusiness taken over. Long fallow fields stretching off into the distance, almost devoid of wildlife, certainly now. Well, I have to say that really did make for fairly unpleasant and treacherous walking. Had to recross the Hanglands from the north, and it's about as flooded and as sodden and as mud bound as you could imagine, really. Here are my feet, just wiping them off. Whew, but that was fairly unpleasant walking. Really is very, very, very wet here. Easily, I think, the wettest I have ever known it to be. Here's a sort of example of completely flooded woods. With almost just sort of rivulets flowing through, completely flooded. A completely flooded landscape. And here, see if we can see any better. I guess this is about as natural as you would get here. These little rivers are called winter bounds. And here we are, winter bounds in Helpston. So just en route back to the car. So far I've driven 3.5 hours and walked for 4.5 hours. Whew. So I'm no hiker, and I'm not the youngest of men anymore, as I'm sure you can tell. So I'm going to head back to the car. And we pretty much come full circle here. This is where we walked in. This is where we entered the Hanglands on our walk at 8 o'clock this morning.